Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hot for Teacher. I'm Adam Coble, the eponymous teacher. I mean, I assume so. I mean, that's the joke, right? Because office hours, I was pretending to be a teacher, and then there's the song, and which I can't use for copyright reasons, but like we found a good MIDI version of it, which I know everyone enjoys so much at the beginning of the episode. Thank you, everybody, for coming. This is episode number 26, and we're going to be talking about relationships today. Hot for Teacher is a write-in relationship advice show where folks have questions, thoughts, feelings they would like to share and discuss, and then they email them to me. They email me their feelings by way of my website, www.adam-coble.com. Now, you can guess, but I'm going to tell you anyway. You click on the Hot for Teacher link, and then you can fill out that form if you yourself have a question that you would like to address on the show. So it works just like office hours that way, but instead of talking about goblins and dungeoneering, we're going to talk about girlfriends and relationeering. I really like this show. We don't get to do it too often, as you can tell by it's only episode 26. I really like doing this show because it's as valuable for me to sit down and to think through these things as I imagine it is for the people that I'm giving the advice to. Maybe more, which is kind of cool. So today we have 3 questions from Wedding Crasher, from Elizabeth, and from an anonymous submitter. And we're gonna go through and we're gonna talk about them. It's interesting. Now, before we get to our first question, I've noticed a ton of like wedding and like marriage related questions in the last little while. Like either y'all are getting married a lot or you're having a lot of marriage anxiety. I don't know why that is. I'm not sure, but like just in the last, like, let's say 3 or 4 months, just a lot of people asking questions about weddings, which is, so I've been trying to pick, I'm kind of trying to grab one and like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Whatever's going on in your life, that's fine with me. We'll talk about your stuff. This is your time. It's your time, question askers. But our first question comes from an anonymous question asker, and it is about relationship burnout. So our first question, I will read it out to you. I have been with the same person for the past 3 years, and it started off really good. That's nice. Recently, I've been feeling burnt out, and for some reason, just being around my significant other has left me feeling exhausted and worn out. I've started to notice things about my boyfriend that just make me angry. His opinion on social issues, and upset. So we have occasional arguments, and of course, he always has to be right, so I just shut down and stay quiet. The most recent argument we had was about people that are transgender, and what he was saying was making me feel embarrassed and uncomfortable to take him anywhere in case he said something shitty to another person. Ugh. Yikes. I know these feelings are not normal, but I feel like most of my adult life was spent in this relationship, and I'm having anxiety from potentially ending the relationship. Do you have any advice? Well, my inner nihilist, right? The person within me, the way I would handle this would be like, just ball them up, just smush them into a little cartoon ball, and then whoop, 3-point line, dunk that fucker. Just from downtown, just fly across, slam him into the trash. However, I have not been in a relationship with this person for 3 years, right? Here, I'm just gonna move your question. It's kind of long. There we go. Hi, it's me. It's my face. So yeah, I mean, as much as I would like to advise you to space jam this dude, you've been in a relationship with this person for 3 years, and this is the kind of the only like adult relationship that you've been in, and I understand and I want to acknowledge that yes, it's easy for me at a distance to just be like, light him on fire. But it's more nuanced than that, right? Now, the big flags here for me, and there are many flags, there are many things in this question that make me think like, honey, there's some stuff going on here. But I think for me, the biggest one, and the one that most inclines me to tell you that it might be time to reassess this relationship, is this kind of little like throwaway line, right? That you say, Of course, he always has to be right, so I just shut down and stay quiet. Like that's a big alert. That's a big scary alert. That is worrying for me, because what happens when you try to advocate for something that you need? Like right now, right? I assume, because you haven't told me, but when you talk about people that are transgender, you're not referring to yourself. So I assume that you and your boyfriend are both cis people. Now, I might be wrong about that, but you're talking about and arguing about and feeling uncomfortable about an issue that is at a remove from you, right? This is still something that is sort of outside of your world. Now, it's something that is important and something that is important to you, obviously, to talk about, and that you disagree about this, and this person refuses to listen to you. But like, this is something that's still outside your life, outside your relationship. But what happens when you need him to not be right about something that is directly impacting you? What if you come to him and say, hey, you are making me feel uncomfortable, or hey, you are hurting me in some way, and of course he has to be right and forces you to shut down and be quiet, right? What happens when it comes to that? Because it will. Like, if this is a repeat behavior, this unwillingness to accept that one might be incorrect about something is a big red flag. And I say this about any relationship, right? Like a relationship with a friend, with a partner, whatever. Like, people should not just shut you up, right? Like, this person refuses to acknowledge that your thoughts and feelings and opinions are as valid and important as his. And like, I don't want that for you. I mean, I don't think you want that for you, but like, reading this, yeah, it hurts. It hurts me. Like, I want you to be out of this situation. But again, I get that like people, especially people in relationships, tend to develop habits, and the relationship itself can be that habit, right? And I don't know, maybe this will help. I'm going to talk about relationships in a particular way. Maybe this will help. Maybe it won't. But for me, and I was talking about this recently with a friend of mine, for me, it really helps to look at a relationship as a byproduct. A relationship is not a thing. It is not a thing in the way that a fork is a thing or a car is a thing, right? Those are objects. Those are things. They are real. A relationship is just the overlap between two people's lives and desires, right? So like, here's all the stuff you want, and here's all the stuff they want. And the place where those things overlap, that's your relationship. It's not a real thing. So you can't lose it. You can't, you really can't get a new relationship. What you're doing is just redefining the terms of your overlapping Venn diagrams. And if you find yourself moving away from this person, it's going to change the way you interact. You're not losing a relationship. You're just altering your relationship with that person. You're changing the way that Venn diagram looks. And the reason why I make this distinction is because we have a lot of language that objectifies relationships, that makes them something we need to hold on to or get or be in, right? And I think that can make it very hard to let go of them. We think of them as something that we have worked on or we have created. Like they're an object. Like you buy a book and you have it and you can look at it and you can touch it and it's real, and someone can take it away from you, or you can drop it off of a boat and it can fall in the ocean. But a relationship is just the way you are interacting with someone. It is the stuff where you overlap. And you can change that, right? You can, as we become more intimate with people, as we share more and more of our lives with other people, we can move our circles together and we can overlap more, right? Like I live in a house and they live in a house and we overlap our houses and now we live together, right? But you can also change the things that are a part of that without giving up everything, without ripping the Venn diagrams apart, right? This is why I really try to encourage that people look at their relationships as fluid objects so that they don't feel attached to them. Because I think for you, my anonymous question asker. I think that if you were not with this person for 3 years and if you had had more relationship experience, those two things would make it easier for you to see this as the red flag waving. Like this question has more red flags than a fucking Mayday Communist Party meeting. Like, you are in a situation in which I can only see it getting worse unless you sit down with this person and say like, yo, your shit is fucking with me, right? So you have two options, really. You can, if you want to, work on this, right? You can be honest with this person and you can say, hey, look, we clearly like disagree deeply about your feelings about trans people. I have tried to talk to you about this, but when we disagree, you refuse to acknowledge that I might have a valid, though different opinion from you. On top of that, I feel scared you are going to say something that will embarrass me in front of my friends or loved ones. Right? Now that is some fucking hard talk. That is going to be a lot for this person to hear. That would be hard for any person to hear, but based on what I know about this person and their refusal to acknowledge that they might be wrong about shit, this could go very poorly for them, right? Their ego may push them into a place where they are reacting very defensively and they might push back and they might say, you're wrong. You're not, right? You are allowed to have your own feelings. You are not telling them how to behave. You're just saying, this is what I feel when you do this. This is some like base level couples therapy type shit where you're like, try not to say you're a fucking jackass, even though you might be feeling it. Say instead, when you do not listen to my opinions, you make me feel like you don't care about me. When you say ignorant shit about trans people, when you are transphobic, I feel like never being in public with you again, right? Because then it's about you. It's about you and your feelings. Now, you can have this conversation, just the two of you if you want, but if you are invested in this relationship and if you are interested in building it and fixing it, which I hate the term, but if you are interested in moving it to a place where you don't feel shut down and forced to silence and uncomfortable and embarrassed, if you would like to continue and you think there's hope that this person can come around, you might want to do it with some help. And I don't mean help in the sense of like, bring 4 of your best friends and you can all shout them down together. I mean like, suggest that you talk about this stuff with a counselor together, right? Like, hey, Jimmy, your transphobic attitudes are making me feel uncomfortable and I don't know how best to have that conversation with you. Would you, in the spirit of us both giving a shit about our relationship, come with me to counseling and we will have someone help us work through these things, right? That's the deep investment, right? You're going to put in time, ostensibly you're going to put in money. You're going to try to put yourselves in a place where this relationship is going to continue, right? Maybe, and I believe that people can, with a little help, get over themselves. I think it's possible for Jimmy here, I don't know what his actual name is, for Jimmy the transphobe here to get over his transphobic shit, right? To stop embarrassing you and making you feel uncomfortable and to shut the fuck up and listen to you occasionally when you have things to say, right? Right? So I think it's possible. Now, you know this person better than I do. And if you do not think that either you want to put in that effort and energy or you don't think it's going to work, right? Maybe this person talks shit about counseling all the time, right? Maybe this person... Listen, if you think that they are hopeless, you are now staring down the barrel of a relationship that will make you embarrassed and uncomfortable for as long as you are in it. And my only answer to that is chuck it. Right? Get out of there. Now, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the other bit, right? The end bit here, because Anon says, I am having anxiety from ending this relationship. Let's talk about how we can support ourselves in that stuff. So I think having anxieties is real and true. Yes, that is yes, it's completely possible, right? I am not, even in situations where I don't want to be in a relationship anymore, I definitely feel that, because that's a hard conversation to have. Because you might feel uncertain or unjustified. You might feel wrong, right? You might be like, this isn't, I should give them another chance. Then, depending on the person, they may barrage you with questions. They may say, like, justify why you don't want to be with me. You're wrong about that. Ergo, we should stay together, right? There's this fear that the situation will go badly. And I think that that's okay. That's okay, and that's real, and I'm not telling you not to feel anxiety. But what we can do is help you understand that that anxiety can be dealt with, and this relationship can be dealt with. If you do not want to be with this person anymore, if you are no longer happy, I have found that the best way to have that conversation is to express that clearly, not to open the floor to questions, and to let go. It takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of energy to get yourself out of a relationship when you're with somebody who may want to, like, drag you back in. But I feel like the best way to do this kind of thing is to sit down with the person and say, I do not want to be in this relationship with you anymore. I don't have the space or the emotional energy to engage in discourse with you about it. I understand you're going to have a lot of questions and that this is a hard thing for both of us, but I want you to know that I've made this decision and that is all I have room for now. I need you to respect that choice, and I need you to give me some space, and then we can talk more about this in the future if that's something that you feel comfortable engaging in. I suggest that you go seek counseling, right? You have a support network, go to it. Right? You are not responsible for, and this happens in so many relationships that end or change dramatically, right? Like, there's this thing where we feel responsible, right? When we hurt someone. So often breaking up with someone can go, I don't want to be with you anymore. And then they collapse or they get angry. And then we have to balance our own desires and our own needs of, like, pushing forward, right? Against this feeling of we've hurt them and they're sad and they're upset. And that's a really easy way to get sucked back in, right? Because we want to undo that. Or we're scared that they're going to get angry and they're going to tell us we're wrong and they're going to try and undermine the decision we've already made, which is that we don't want to be with them. So what I would suggest is have a plan, right? Breaking up with someone, and this is going to sound so, I was going to say clinical, but breaking up with someone is like going to a doctor's appointment where you're getting a procedure done, right? Not a big deal. You don't have to go to the hospital. This is one of those ones where the doctor is like, you need someone to come pick you up, honey. Like, we're gonna give you some drugs, and you're gonna need somebody to come get you and drive you home and just, like, get you into bed and take care of you for, like, a hot minute. So build yourself a support structure for that, right? Build yourself, say, like, you've got a friend, you've got someone who can support you, right? Maybe you got a family member, you got a sibling, whatever, it doesn't matter. Someone you trust and you care about. Tell them, I'm going to go break up with Jimmy the transphobe, and I'm a little bit worried that I'm going to be in a rough place afterwards. Or I'm, like, scared that I might get yelled at, or I'm scared that I might get sucked into trying to make Jimmy the transphobe feel better, right? Which obviously you don't have to do. So if you say to this friend of yours, this person, your support person, like, all right, so I need you to come and pick me up or meet me or whatever at 4:00 because I'm going to be done by 4:00. That puts an end on that conversation. So when you and Jimmy meet up at 3:30, you have a maximum of 30 minutes to do the thing. And at the end of that 30 minutes, your friend is going to show up and say, hey, it's time to go. And then you can go, right? Bounding it. Because again, for people who have been in relationships, who've been in this situation, I'm sure everybody has an example of when the breakup was a conversation that lasted 8 hours, right? These deep, like, dragging, awful, uncomfortable things. And you don't want that. You want to get in. You want to say, these are my needs. This is what is happening now. And then get out. And if you have someone to help you pull that ripcord, you can say, listen, Susan is here to pick me up. I'm going to leave. If you call me, if you text me, if you Twitter DM me, I am not going to respond. I need some space, as you will. And then Susan's going to be like, yo, Anon, let's get the fuck up out of here. Then Susan will take you home or to the coffee shop or to wherever. Get yourself a Dairy Queen ice cream cake celebrating the fact that you did it. And you did it. It's over, right? And this person can be your wing person of support through the next like couple of days or whatever, right? Talk about this with your friends. Like build this support structure because you're about to do a hard thing. And every time we do hard things, we need people to help us through that, right? Life is a never-ending series of strange and miserable occasions, and you can't survive alone. So having a support network, whatever that looks like for you, Anon, dig into that. Find people who will support you. Do not let the breakup turn into a debate, because then old Jimmy here is going to need to be right about everything, right? My fear is that you go into this conversation and you say, yo, Jimbo, not into it anymore. And Jimmy here is going to be like, you are an idiot and you are wrong. Here are 10 reasons why you are stupid and that we should stay together. Like, fuck you, Jimmy. But it seems to me like this is that kind of person. Don't listen to it, right? Listen to your heart. Anon, listen to your heart. Believe in your feelings. If you are unhappy, you do not need to be with this person anymore. Relationships are a bonus on top of your own life. You do not need them. You especially do not need them when they make you feel bad. So it's up to you, I think, to decide whether or not this is a Space Jam the Man situation or it's a go to counseling together situation or something in between. But I will tell you this, and I would love it if we lived in a world where people did not need to be reassured of these things. If you're in a situation where somebody is telling you to shut up and be quiet, that's not healthy. Your point of view and your feelings and your opinions make you happy, right? They are how you get through things, not fucking Jimmy over here, right? That's right. Chat has pointed out something great. Take the Marie Kondo approach. This man no longer sparks joy. Dunk him. Unless you feel like you can rebuild. But don't feel beholden to it, right? I think you know what you want. I may not be able to pick that up from the paragraph that you posted over here, but I think deep down in your heart, you know what you want, even though it's going to be hard one way or the other. Follow that and find support, right? Get your friends. You don't need advice anymore. You just need people who will back you up. So find them. Get their help. That's the thing. And like, give yourself space, yo. You're not responsible for Jimmy's feelings, and he's not responsible for yours. And if he's making you feel bad, just shut the door. Shut the door on old Jim Bob there. It's tough, though. Like, outside of this question, being in relationships is hard. Other people are hard. Breaking up with people is hard. It's all difficult. It's all challenging, and I acknowledge that. I have 100% stayed in relationships way fucking longer than I should, because I didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Or it's just easier, even though you're miserable, it can feel like it's easier to just stay miserable. Don't do that. Don't do it. Jimmy's got 3 years of your life. You got 3 years of Jimmy's life. Maybe it's time to move on. And this goes for friendships. This goes for jobs. Like, for everybody, don't do a thing you don't love anymore. Get out of there. Because eventually you're going to die, and think about all the time you wasted. It's a bummer. All right. Let's do a less bummer question. Let's talk about starting things. Let's talk about getting flirted on. All right. So, Elizabeth, I haven't given my face a lot of room today. Let's just move your question, Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth says, I'm on the autism spectrum, and this is probably really obvious for the majority of people. It's not as obvious as you think. But how do you express interest in others and be receptive to others' advances? Elizabeth. So, yeah, let me just clear this the fuck up. It is not obvious. It's not obvious at all. This is not a spectrum thing. This is a socialized thing where we just assume that everybody knows how to flirt and that we're all doing it wrong. Like, as soon as you get to a point in your life where you're interested in expressing interest in people or having interest being expressed in you, like, you just know, like, it's just instinctive, right? Horse shit. Now, we've talked about flirting before in previous episodes. We've talked about flirting and like, flirting, how does it work? But I think it's worth kind of revisiting from a very like base level. I find the way that I express interest in others, and this is the thing. There's no script, right? There's no script for this stuff, and what I show as what makes me like, if I like somebody, what I use to show that is different than what other people use to receive it, right? Okay, so this is why this stuff is so complex, I think, because what makes me feel like someone cares about me or is interested in me, like, for example, let's see, what makes me feel like somebody digs me? I like banter. I like banter, and I like a little bit of teasing. I like when someone is clever and they kind of like poke fun at me in like a nice way, right? I like that kind of familiarity. That makes me feel like really good. I like when people set aside time for me. I like when they schedule stuff, when they say to me like, hey, do you want to hang out? Here are some specific dates we could hang out. In the early phase, like when I'm just getting to know somebody, I like when they ask me smart questions, right? Now, I don't care about eye contact. I don't care about body language. I sure as fuck don't like strangers touching me. But those are my receptors, right? And I think that this is what you want to do. I think you want to think about, for you, what your receptors are, right? What stuff makes you feel good? What stuff makes you feel that little twingy, like, hey, this person is interested in me. This person wants to get to know me better, or maybe they want to like smooch me. Like, what stuff makes me feel like that, right? And then also think about, when you are interested in someone, what do you do to show them that, right? Because I think self-knowledge is the first place. So often we are told to just ignore, the reality of things, what actually make us feel good or what makes other people feel good, and just play into some kind of like prearranged social script, right? Like, this is what flirting is. This is what showing interest in someone is. And it's always that. And whenever they do that, that's what it means, right? Like, if someone in the middle of a conversation, if someone takes off their left shoe and puts it on their right shoulder, nods 3 times, and then eats a grape, they're down to fuck, right? That's it. That's 100%. Every time someone does that, that's exactly, now you can just start taking your clothes off. You're ready. You're good to go, right? But that's such, like, I say it that way because it's the silliest thing I could think of, but it's the same. It's exactly the same, right? Like, if somebody like leans in to you and touches your hand and makes eye contact, but not for too long, then for sure that's what they want. But the thing is, maybe they're just shifting to be more comfortable. Maybe they're touching you for a different reason, and maybe they're making eye contact because that's how they communicate. Like, there's no clear thing that is true for everybody. Like, for me, if somebody did that and I didn't know them very well, I would not read that as flirting, and I would back off. I would be like, why are you touching me? This eye contact is freaking me out, and I just don't feel comfortable. Right? So think about, for you, the things that you receive that make you feel nice. I think this is just like a great exercise. I think we should all just do this more often, right? Like what stuff makes you feel what way? What kinds of things can your friends do to make you happy? What behaviors of people make you feel flirted with, right? It's a nice self-reflection. And then reflect on what you would do for someone else when you do that. And it can be conscious, right? Like, what do you consciously do to encourage people to think more about your connection with them, right? How do you deepen that connection? And then subconsciously, be aware of what you do when you're interested in someone. Like, look at your own behavior. Like when I want to show somebody that I'm interested in them, my 100%, the first thing that I do is I make time for them, right? Where I will because I'm busy. For me, my relationship currency all the way through, whether it's like a relationship I've had for years or it's like someone I'm getting to know, I make time. Time is the thing that I give out as a sign of care, right? Like, if I'm willing to forego like sleeping to spend time with someone, if I'm willing to like push my shit around in my schedule to make time for them, that for me is very much a way to show interest, right? Even in the early game where I'm like, yeah, I'll like take extra time to text this person or whatever. For me, curiosity is a big part of my interest in someone. I'm not really I don't do a lot of traditionally romantic stuff. So what I do is instead I show interest. I ask questions. I'm curious. I try to like get at a part of them that is maybe hidden or not present everywhere else. I like knowing little things about people, like becoming familiar with them. That's a way that I show that I'm interested, right? And asking questions and kind of like engaging in that space, like listening really hard. But for you, it might be different. And the reason why I kind of wanted to talk about this, to like set that aside and sit down and talk about it, is that once you understand that that's your stuff, remember, nobody else is the same as you, right? Just because, and this is like, it feels a little bit like a sucker punch to say this, but just because you express interest in a certain way, in no way means that someone else is going to receive that as flirting, right? Like if they're waiting for the shoe on the shoulder and the grape consumption, they're going to be sitting there waiting for you to do that. And you're going to be like, I'm flirting with you so fucking hard right now. And they're going to miss it, right? They're going to miss it because they don't know any of that stuff. Just like you don't know any of their stuff. You don't know what makes them feel like interested in. I think that we are socialized to dance the dance without ever discussing the moves, right? We are socialized to expect that if you are normal, if you're a normal person, you should just be able to flirt on instinct, which, fuck that. You can't. So instead, what we have to do is improve our communication game. We need to find ways to tell people that we are interested in them that aren't about subterfuge. And I think that you can just tell someone. I think that you can just say like, hey, I think you're really interesting. I would love to spend more time with you. Hey, I think you're pretty cool. Can I text you sometime? Like just say the thing. I know it's so fucking hard sometimes. 'Cause it's like there's this thing, this sociolinguistic thing that happens, especially in relationships, when we express interest. The hope is that someone will express interest in us back, right? This like, hey, I like you, and I'm starting to feel like maybe you like me. Do you want to propose the activity, watch a movie, or go on a date, or do some sex stuff together, whatever. And there's this implied, like, I want this. Do you want this? And if they say no, then you just are like, cool. Well, I'm going to pour gasoline on myself and light myself on fire. Thanks for coming. Bye. Right? Like, we have to get okay with the idea that somebody else isn't into the same stuff that we are into. Right? Like, not be so invested in an outcome. God, play to find out what happens, right? let me just fucking throw some game master knowledge at you. All right, so your life is a role-playing game, and the relationship that you are building with someone, do not have a pre-planned idea about how it will go. Do not meet someone and go, oh my God, I'm in love with them. We're going to definitely do sex stuff, and it's going to be so fucking hot, and then they're going to fall in love with me because I'm already in love with them, and then we're going to buy a house together, we're going to have babies, and then we're going to die, and we're going to die together, and it's going to be so good. And you're like, hi, my name's Adam. You just saw them across the room, and you're already thinking about fucking your whole life. And don't do that. Don't do it, because a relationship is not about following a preset plan. There's no coordinates. Just be like, I am interested in. Have stakes questions. Jesus, like it's so. This is the reason why Apocalypse World is such a good game, is because it's just good advice for interacting with people. So get excited about what might be, right? Be curious. Be like, I wonder what kind of relationship this is going to be. I wonder what is going to happen. This person seems interesting and cool, and now there's an infinite array. There's an infinite array before you of possibilities. Your relationship could be anything, and they could be all kinds of cool things. Maybe you're going to end up, sure, like cohabitating and having babies and dying together at an old age, but maybe you're going to steal a car and go on a crime spree across America, and it's going to be glorious, and you're going to die in a shootout with the FBI. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe you're going to start a company, you're going to build rocket ships, and you're going to fly to the moon. Any fucking thing is possible. Do not plan your relationship in advance so that what you're doing is saying, hey, here's something that I am interested in. What do you think? And they're going to be like, I don't think I want to get married and have babies, but that Corvette over there is pretty hot, and I know how to hotwire a car. What do you think? Right? It's about discussing these things and just being excited about all kinds of relationships. And there is this like deep-seated narrative of how a relationship is supposed to go. And I don't like it. And it doesn't work de facto. It works if you agree to it and you work on it together, but it doesn't work for free. So instead of assuming that things have to be the way they are, instead, understand yourself. Understand what makes you feel good. Understand the ways you express your interest in people, and then be honest with people about that, right? Just be like, hey, do you want to hang out? And I mean that in like a kind of date sort of way. Like, maybe we could go on a date because I think you're really cute. And when they say, fuck yeah, let's go on a date, I think you're cute too, great. But if they say, I'm not really feeling like date vibes, but I would also like this instead, right? So again, play to find out what happens. Because then whatever the result, you can be more okay with it. And I know that's hard. I know it's hard not to want things. I know it's hard not to imagine. We're humans. Our brains look for patterns. We try to build something so that we feel prepared for it. But I find that whether it's day 1 or day 1,000 of your relationship with someone, go into every moment imagining what it could be. And be okay with whatever it is. Don't railroad your relationships. You wouldn't do it to your players. Don't do it to the people that you're flirting with. And then it frees you up to not be so scared of rejection. Because it's not saying I don't want you. It's just I don't want to do this thing with you, right? Don't be scared to just say what's on your mind, right? To tell people how you feel. Yeah, so this isn't just a spectrum thing. This is for everybody. I think we all feel confused about the narrative sometimes and about how we are meant to, sarcastic quotes, meant to express our feelings. Interest and being receptive to interest is just one of a long line of things. And I think that once you get to know yourself and the kinds of things that you need as a person and what makes you feel good, you can just tell other people that. I definitely get to a point with friends where I say, hey, these things are super meaningful for me, and I appreciate when you do them. And then they're going to do them more because they want you to be happy. And then they'll do the same for you, right? They'll say, I know this may not be normal for you, but for me, I find it really nice and it feels really good for me when you take off your left shoe and you put it on your right shoulder and you nod 3 times and you eat a grape. So if you could do that for me, that would make me feel really good. And then you get the things that you want. You just got to ask for them. Because otherwise, nobody's gonna know. Right? So, wedding questions. Wedding questions abound. Wedding questions all over the damn place. So, Wedding Crasher says, recently, I was asked to be part of a wedding party. So this means, and I had to look this up because I was like, you got invited to a wedding because a wedding is a party? No. A wedding party is like the people who are responsible for the wedding. They are the cast of the wedding. It's not the part, you weren't invited. So, yeah. Recently, I was invited to be part of a wedding party. So like a crucial element of the wedding. You were invited to be the wedding wizard or the wedding fighter or whatever, right? So anyway, just for my own clarification, I had to look that up. So recently I was asked to be part of a wedding party. I said yes, because she's one of my best friends and I wouldn't want to miss it for the world. The problem comes with some of my own feelings around weddings. I fall somewhere on the aromantic spectrum, same. This is something I still have a lot of negative internalized feelings about. Weddings, as the epitome of romance, kind of gross me out, but also make me feel broken, big same. I know I'm not, but feelings are hard sometimes. How do I work through my feelings while maintaining the magic for my friend and being a good bridesman or wedding wizard or whatever? So, what do we do when our friends want to do something we're not really interested in? What do we do when our friends have something that they're really hype about and that we're like, for me, this is no. Right? Now, I think the first thing that old Wedding Crasher here should do is make sure that this is not going to be a harmful situation for them, right? Take all this stuff, all these feelings about weddings and discomfort and stuff, take all that stuff and separate from it the good friend stuff, right? Separate the like, I want to take care of my friends, I want to do a good thing for someone else. Take all that stuff and slice them off, and just set it aside for now. And look at your own feelings. Think about going to the wedding. Think about being around all these people who are suggesting that this is the epitome of all relationships, right? Think about being around all this romance stuff, right? Is that going to be safe for you? Now, I don't mean is it going to be fun? I don't mean is it going to be cool? I don't mean like, are you going to have a good time? I mean, is it going to fuck you up, right? If the answer is yes, and you're being honest with yourself, the best thing you can do is tell your friend, hey, so I love you. I clorp you very, very much. And I want you to have the things that you want. And I know that it would be so important for me to be there, and that would be really meaningful. But I put a lot of thought into this, and I just don't think I can safely attend this event, right? I think that if I go, I'm going to feel bad. I think I'm going to be triggered. I'm going to have a bad time, right? This is a mental health thing, and I'm not safe there. Your friend will be disappointed, right? She will be like, that's a bummer. I love you. I wanted you to be a part of this big memory for me. That sucks. And if they're your real friend, they're not going to be like, get the fuck over it. They're going to say, I'm sorry. I'll miss you so much, but thank you. Thank you for this is okay. Just as an aside, this is the best fucking thing you can say to a person who tells you something that disappoints you to protect themselves. All right. If somebody that you care about comes to you and says, I don't want to do this because it's not safe for me, the best fucking response you can have is, thank you for taking care of yourself. I love you. Thank you for loving yourself. I am disappointed, but thank you. You did a good thing. You are protecting your feelings. That is the best thing you can say to someone who comes to you with that. I know it's hard to get over your own disappointment. Being disappointment fucking sucks. It's really hard, but like, yo, acknowledge that your friends are doing a hard thing, coming to you and saying, I am disappointing you and I do not fucking want to, but I have to protect myself. Right? Don't force them to explain. Trust them for taking care of themselves. And that is focus on that. This is advice for the bride here. But for Wedding Crasher, like go to your friend. If this is not safe for you, you are not going to have fun. They will not have fun at the wedding if you are having a panic attack, right? Like it's not going to go good for anybody. So just let that be a thing. Go and be honest with them. And then talk about how you can do something different, right? Be like, maybe we can find some other time for me to be excited about your relationship in a different way. Maybe you and your new spouse and I can do something else, right? Maybe we can celebrate your love in a different way, but I just can't do this wedding thing safely. And that's it. You don't have to make excuses. This is a lot like the conversation that Anon and the fucking transphobe Jimmy needed to have, right? This like, I just don't want to do this. I'm being honest with you. If you love me, like I think that you might, then you need to accept that and we'll be okay, right? We'll find something else. Now, if that is not the case, right? If you feel like you could go, and this is where I usually am with weddings. If you feel like you are happy to be invited, you could go. There will be parts you will probably be rolling your eyes at, but not too hard. And you just like, there'll be parts that will not be fun for you. I say do it, right? Like work through your feelings the way that you normally do, right? Have someone you can talk to after to decompress. Be aware of your feelings, but not scared of them. It's okay if romance grosses you out. It's okay if weddings make you feel icky. That's fine. That's real. But you're not there for that, right? You're there to get past that stuff and focus on all of the good shit. Think about what an awesome time you are going to have with this person, with the bride, and ostensibly with people who are your friends in common. Think about it as like a party, a celebratory party in which their relationship is the fucking centerpiece, right? Because ostensibly you care about this person. It sounds like you do. And this is a great way for you to show it. You get to go to an event at which everyone there is just like dumping positive energy on this person. And that's going to feel pretty fucking good. Even if that energy is like romance flavored, which like, ugh. Romance smells like a durian to me. But it's okay because there's all this other good shit going on, right? So choose what you focus on. Choose where your energy goes. Choose what parts of this are going to be, because you're still going to get to go and like have dinner and perform a little pageant with them in celebration of their relationship. You're going to get to eat some food and have some drinks. Maybe there's going to be some music and some dancing, and like there's going to be lots of fun party shit that has nothing to do with the white dress and the fucking tuxedo and the priest and all of that, right? That's just a part of it. What you're really there to do is celebrate your friend. And who doesn't love an opportunity to do that? Like, it's the greatest. It's the greatest feeling, right? Isn't that nice to be able to like, and maybe you're going to get to make a speech. So let me give you a real world example. Okay. I'm going to share something from my life. It's a very real example of this. So one of my dearest friends, my oldest and dearest friends, is getting married sometime. She's engaged, and her fiance are going to get married. Now, I don't care about that. Weddings are dumb. I'm not interested. But all I can think about is how excited I am to get to like gush about this person. I'm going to get to like make a speech, and I'm going to get to make people laugh, and I'm going to get to tell them all how much I love this person and how great I think they are. I'm going to get to tease them about being married. I'm going to get to like take pictures of my friends having a good time. I'm going to get to have some drinks and get dressed up, and it's going to be fucking great. There's going to be a bunch of shit that I'm going to just sit there and like roll my eyes and be like, blah, it's so boring. Weddings are dumb. But all the rest of it is going to be so much fun. And I know that my being there and my participating in it, despite the fact that I think weddings are stupid, is going to be so meaningful for my friend, right? It's going to mean so much to her. And that is going to make me feel happy because I like making my friends happy. And it's a great excuse to do that. So I don't think that you have to give up any of your feelings. You don't have to pretend that you're not the way you are, right? You don't have to suddenly not be grossed out by romance. You don't have to not have your negative internalized feelings. You just need to recognize that there's more to this event than just the celebration of romance, right? A little bit of this is look on the brighter side. A little bit of this is like look for the silver lining. There's a tiny bit of like enduring things that maybe we think are dumb or bad. But if it's safe for you, if you feel comfortable with that, all of the other stuff is probably going to be pretty damn fun, right? And then just have people to talk about afterwards, right? Have somebody outside the situation, right? Don't use your friend, the bride, for this because it's not appropriate. But like have somebody else you can talk to afterwards. Be like, hey, so I went to this wedding and I'm having some like conflicted feelings about it. And maybe we could talk about it together, right? Maybe this is your counselor. Maybe you have a therapist so you can just go and talk to this about it. If so, primo, do it. If not, then like maybe a friend can be this for you, right? Because it's okay for you to have those feelings. It's okay for you to be like, it wasn't 100% like the best time ever. It was like 90% the best time ever and 10% like weird, like awkward, aromantic stuff. And that's okay. You're allowed. And it doesn't make you a bad friend having those feelings. It doesn't make you a bad friend like being conflicted. Asking us this doesn't mean that you're not a good person. Like, it's okay to feel all of that stuff. And my hope is that this wedding is something that is positive for you, that you feel safe going to, and that afterwards you will remember the good stuff as being good and that you will have had a good time. Because I think parties in which we get to celebrate our friends and their accomplishments, their romantic accomplishments, I think that's pretty cool. I think it's cool that we have those. We talked about this a little bit last episode, but I wish we had weddings for more things. You know? Like imagine a world in which like we do like graduation celebrations sometimes, right? When people accomplish that stuff, we have like work parties to celebrate that people have been in relationships. But like, can you imagine if we had parties for like, I don't know, other things? Yeah, like they're friends now. They hung out for the first time. Like, cool, let's get together and do that. Hooray! Jimmy and Janie had sex 100 times. Congratulations, Jimmy and Janie. Way to fuck. we have a very specific set of like parameters of things that we celebrate, and it would be cool if we celebrated other or more different things. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that this is one prescribed thing, right? This is one prescribed way that we celebrate people's relationships. And I think that while we can queer our communities, we can queer our spaces, and we can try to celebrate things that are not part of the military nuptial complex, I think that we can also subvert things like marriage by just going and having fun. Right? Like going and enjoying these things for something other than just the ritual, right? And for you, Wedding Crasher, maybe that means just going and being a fucking awesome friend. And be proud of that shit, right? Go and have a good time, have the best fucking time, and afterwards, just celebrate your own damn self because you did it. Buy yourself a good friend cake. You can eat it with Anon while they have their breakup cake. So that's it. That's 26, friends. Thank you for your excellent and thoughtful questions. If you have questions for this guy, or just like shit you want me to discuss, doesn't even have to be a question. It can just be like, hey, this thing, what do you think? Can we talk about it? You can submit that on my website, www.adam-koble.com. Click that Hot for Teacher link. Submit your question or your topic. And next time we do an episode, I'll pick 3 more and we will dive right into it. And I don't know, maybe we'll talk about weddings again because that seems to be on everybody's mind right now. We go through phases, so who knows? Maybe it'll be something else. But as always, thank you so much for coming, everybody. And I will see you next time. Bye.